Hi, everybody. How's it going today? I'm moving everyone around so I can see everybody okay. My goodness, it's been a crazy busy morning. Anyone else having like crazy busy energy going on lately? Holy moly. This Mercury in retrograde and new moon energy has just been wild. It's been messing with me so much. All right. Looks like everybody's popped in here. Oh, nope, we got one more. I lied. Give just another couple seconds here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. It's been so much energy and it's not letting up. I've been working on stuff for my Reiki transmissions this morning, and it's like I'm kind of leaning into the energy of midsummer and there's so many crazy things going on right now. The energy's wild. Okay. It looks like everything's going good here. Okay, cool. Well, today we get to talk about AI, which is super fun. It's so weird for me. I love going back and forth between like the woo, the mystical, the fun stuff, and then going back into AI and dealing with all the fun stuff that gets to happen because ChatGPT is like my bestie. It's so good. All right, I'm gonna switch over so that you can see my slides. And oh, I hate when they do this. There's been an update. Where is it? Why does it do this to me? There we go. Okay. Just renewed my Zoom thing and it's like, okay, let's see if I can just go ahead and share the right screen. And it gets all funny on me. Can you guys see my slides? Okay. Yay. Looking good? Okay, cool. If they don't move forward, let me know. And I will pause because we all know that Zoom has had tech issues with me sometimes. And we're in Mercury retrograde right now. So goodness only knows what kind of craziness can happen. I am prepared for all. Well, at least sort of. I'm trying anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead. We are here to talk about the AI powered launch lab. This is going to be super fun because to me, launching has always been as much fun as it is. It's always been kind of the part that's been a sticking point for me because there's so many different ideas out there on what a good launch looks like, so many different ways to handle it. And then there's, like a gazillion checklists. There's a gazillion types of things that you could do. And sometimes they don't always match. And so you kind of start to feel this discord between what you think you should be doing versus what you have the bandwidth for. And then if you're anything like me, where you're ADHD, and if you can't do all the things, then you start to put yourself down because you're like, dang it, I should be able to do all these things. Why can't I do them all? And so this is really to help us negate any of that stuff so that we're building our launch strategies based around us. Not only us and our own personal bandwidth, but like our personal stories, like the things that we're launching, the stories and how it can resonate with our audiences. Like ChatGPT can help us really get into the nitty gritty of creating a launch strategy that's going to help us like catapult into the next level when it comes to not only doing the things that are in most alignment. I'm calling this definitely an aligned launch strategy because we're aligning ourselves with our energy, with our books, and what we want to accomplish. So it's not just about the monetary gain, which is what a lot of launch strategies just focus on. This is about like us figuring out what we really want. So it's about doing all the good things and letting go of a lot of the stuff that kind of held us back in the past. Okay. And I've used this personally. I've been actually playing with it this past month because I built a custom GPT. You probably saw that in the emails. Built a custom GPT to help us to go through the steps that I'm going to be teaching you in this class today. And so I've been playing with it for my current launch, which is in Kickstarter right now. And because I'm in mid-launch, it's even cool to see that whole thing play out. And I will show you kind of a behind the scenes of me playing around with chat and how it looks in that custom GPT toward the end. So let me find my thing. There's slides. There we go. Okay, so for those who are new here, if you don't know me, my name is Carissa Andrews. I'm the author. I'm an author of more than 30 books at this point, CEO of Author Revolution. And for this course, for the purpose of this class, it's not a course, but you know what I mean. I help authors make sense of ChatGPT so that we can turn it into our #1 publishing tool because it truly is as revolutionary as people claim it to be. I myself, I am one of those types of people who love to lean into what is going to revolutionize, obviously, author revolution. What are we going to use to revolutionize our author business? And ChatGPT is and has been a game changer for the past couple of years. So here we are. We're going to build a launch plan that works for us and not just like we can do it, not just, oh, we can create all of these things together, but literally create one that works for all aspects of our author career for us, personally us, every single day. Okay. What is going on? I just had a thing pop up on me. Okay. That was weird. One of my Word documents just popped up. That was weird. Okay. So here we are. Get ready, buckle up, because we're going to have a lot of fun. If you're here, it's because you are ready to build a launch strategy, like I said, that actually works for you. And maybe you've only published a book. Maybe you've only published 0 books. Maybe you've published a number of books and you've kind of not done a strategy at all because everything feels overwhelming. And so you kind of do nothing. Or sometimes you're hit and miss because you know what technically you should be doing, but it just doesn't align for you right now, but you want to get your book out. There's a lot of different ways that we can kind of handle all these things. This is going to help us eliminate a lot of that mental chatter that tells us that we're not doing good enough. Okay. You're also here if you want to have a framework for aligned book launches. This is going to be the framework that's going to help you each and every time that you are building out your personalized launch strategy. Okay. And then, of course, you could be here too because you want to see how the power of ChatGPT can help us. And maybe you're low-key curious about this GPT that I created. It was a lot of fun to build, let me just say. And I had to do a lot of back and forth to get it to do what I wanted to do because I didn't want it to just word vomit everything that it could do all at once. I wanted it to ask us very specific questions and not overwhelm authors as we are going through the process. So what we're covering today is going to look like why most launches don't work for us and haven't worked for a long time. We're going to talk about the Launch Lab framework that I'm going to be teaching you. So this class is AI Launch Lab. So it's going to be a specific framework that I created, not only to help you get your mindset in the right place so that you're understanding how book launches should be kind of approached, but also so that you can come back at it again and again using either ChatGPT or the custom GPT that I'm going to be handing over to you guys at the end of this. We're going to be picking our launch models and timelines, and because both of those are important, knowing what type of launch model we want. There's lots of different launches, and I'm not talking rapid release here. That's more of the release strategy. I'm literally talking about the launch strategy. So a different kind of animal, but if you have questions on release timing or anything like that, you can always let me know there. Timeline is a big part of this. And so we'll be talking about how to incorporate timeline, how to work backwards, how to have ChatGPT help you work backwards on what type of strategy you want to do. We're going to talk about more monetization magic that can happen as you're launching, in the pre-launch phase, in the post-launch phase, all the things that we get to do there, because there's a lot of things that I think we as authors leave on the table because we're so busy and have been like in the indie author space for a long time. So busy going from like, here's this book launch and boom, now I got to move on to the next book because this one's done and I need to move on to the next thing. And I think those days are really over, honestly. I think we're at the point now where we need to start looking at how do we become more aligned with our launches, to be more intentional about what we're doing with our launches. It's not about milking everything out of it necessarily, but having more fun in the monetization, because a lot of us authors, we're not a super huge fan of the sell, right? We don't like to sell necessarily our stuff. And that's why social media can be a trouble. It's why newsletters can be a pain at times because we're not super great at the sell. And so having more fun in the monetization is a big key component in this. And of course, I'll be doing some live demoing and we'll have time at the end for Q&As. So that'll be fun as well. I'm going to be showing you the difference between using specific prompts. And so there's a prompt pack that I'm going to be giving you in a PDF form that you can use if you don't want to use the custom GPT. It doesn't matter if you're free or paid, you can use the custom GPT because custom GPTs, the only restrictions there are if you wanted to create one. You can't create one if you're on the free plan, but you can use them if you're on the free plan. So I personally don't see a downside to using the GPT. It's just up to you on whether or not you want to access it. And so I'm going to show you how to do this strategy both ways, just in case. Okay. Make sure there's no questions. Good. There is no questions. Okay. So let's talk about why most launch strategies have and will continue to fail for us indie authors, right? I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the 15 plus years of writing and publishing books is that most launch strategies really lean into us becoming burnt out. And there's not a whole lot of strategy in there when it comes to having an aligned launch that feels good to all people. most launch strategies have been built so that they are like, how do we monetize this? How do we go as big as we possibly can? How do we create as much money out of this, get as many downloads as possible, get as much exposure as possible. I want to have the fastest liftoff ever in my author career. And that just doesn't always work, especially in the new era of indie publishing that we're currently in. Okay. And so when we're trying to do those launch strategies of the past, or trying to use launch strategies that other people who maybe have a larger backlist are using, what ends up happening is you start burning out because you're not in a place energetically or in alignment with those types of strategies just yet. It doesn't mean you can't get there. It doesn't mean ChatGPT won't offer those strategies. But I think a lot of the strategies right now are failing because there's just not a lot of strategy for people to work their way up into that sort of thing. Okay. Plus, there's a neurodivergent misfit energy going on here. I found over the years, not only for myself, did I realize that I am neurodivergent, but I've found that most authors also are. There's a vast majority of us, because if you can, look at the world differently, if you have these creative thoughts, if you can build worlds, if you are looking at, developing characters that have depth, you are probably not neurotypical because you want to see and view the world through different eyes, right? And so what ends up happening is there is this like strategic aspect. I see a lot of the people who teach launch strategies, and the majority of them are like, oh, this is what I was a lawyer before I was doing this, and this is how we do it. But they're not really as creative. They're more leaning into the strategy, and so they're doing things and acting in ways that perhaps most of us who are neurodivergent or lean neurodivergent or are on the more creative side, if nothing else, would feel comfortable in doing, right? So there's a misfit, a disconnection of the energy there. And then, of course, when you get into the overwhelmed state, the overwhelmed mind does nothing. We go into avoidance mode. We're like, okay, well, I don't have time for this. I don't know how to fit this in. I know I have 50 billion different things, but I don't even know where to start. Like everything gets crazy. And we decide that we're just not going to do anything. And we don't even consciously decide sometimes. Sometimes our subconscious mind is just going, hey, look at this really cool thing over here. Do you know TikTok? It'll be so much fun. And now you're on TikTok for the next 3 days and you've forgotten all about your launch strategies. I'm not saying I do that. Of course not. No. Okay, maybe once or twice, but it's a thing, right? And then, of course, these copy and paste launch strategies and checklists, they're really honestly not that sustainable because not every launch has the same goal. Not every launch has the same energy coming from us. Not every launch needs to have the same energy. Like book 3 in a series, unless you are doing a huge backlist revival, doesn't have to have the same energy behind it as book 1, for instance, right? And so you have a lot of different wiggle room is the word I'm trying to spit out. Yay, Mercury. You have a lot of wiggle room to be able to decide for yourself, like what does this get to look like and what feels right to me this time around. And just because you did something before doesn't mean you have to do it the same way again, right? Okay, so we're not building a perfect plan, because I don't think there is such a thing. I literally think that everybody's goals and energy are really important here. And so there's no perfect plan, but we're building repeatable or realistic ones, or at least a repeatable process to create realistic launch plans with this process, okay? So here are the 4 phases of what I'm calling the aligned launch. The first step is clarifying your vision, because that's super important. If you don't know what it is you're launching or why you're launching it or who you're launching it to, you're going to get a little bit stuck in the weeds, because now you're going to be launching in ways that can be a complete mismatch of energy. And when that happens, any kind of marketing effort that you're putting out there is going to be kind of muted, because people are like, I don't know what this is. I don't get it. And they're going to move on. Okay. So we have to have our own clarity before we can deliver clarity to our readers. Then number 2, step 2 or phase 2 is picking your launch model. Like we talked about, there are different launch models to be able to access in order to, really kind of dig into what am I doing? And the way that we launch those types of books are going to be, that those launches are going to be completely different. They're not going to be exactly identical to any of the others. We're going to map out our timelines. And one of the things that I love about ChatGPT, not only can you pick your timeline, because we're in control, right? Our books, our stories, everything that we're doing is ours to control. But if you are open to letting ChatGPT do some research for you, to be able to give you some guidance on like when an aligned time frame might be based off of your specific book. It can do that. In fact, when I was using the custom GPT, I didn't know when I wanted to launch my book that's currently in Kickstarter right now, and I was open to the idea of like when would be the best time frame, and I ended up picking a date that it wasn't even on my radar. I was thinking I was going to do it this year. I was thinking I was probably going to do it towards the end of the year, and that's not what happened. And I'll show you at the end what happened, because chat can give you some deep research. And if you have the pro version, if you really want to do deep research, it can do that too, where it literally goes through in like a half an hour and deep dives into the internet and finds information that is pertinent to whatever kind of deep research you're wanting it to do, and launches, competition, book strategies, book timing. That's definitely one that I would have you consider utilizing if you're using pro. Okay. And then of course, step 4 is the monetization magic. So how are we going to launch the books? What kind of extras are we going to put along with it? Are we going to even add extras to it? What kind of magic are we going to use when it comes to like getting the word out about the book and bring people into it? Are we going to have any kind of upsells? Are we going to have any kind of reader magnets, anything like that? Anything that's going to be kind of a fun thing to get them excited to join our list, to get the books, to whatever, right? So hopefully that makes sense so far. If you've got any questions, feel free, like as we're going through this process, drop them in the comments or write them down so that we can talk about them at the end. Drink my tea here for a second. Okay, so phase 1 is all about that clarifying your vision. So your first thing that you're going to want to do is obviously, what's your book? I mean, obvious, right? Well, what's your book about? What's the tropes? What's the description? Do you have a description yet? Like start working on the nitty gritty of everything that book is, what it stands for, what it means to you as an author, and what it might mean to your readers, because who is this for? Like, who's the launch going to be targeting? Because when you understand who your readers are, you're going to be speaking to them in a very different way than if you were just speaking to readers in general and you don't know who you're talking to. Like if I was trying to launch my current book that's in Kickstarter right now to just like romance readers who like Regency, that they're going to be like, what is this thing? It's a rock star romance with a boy, like a best friend's, like brother's best friend. Like what is this thing? This doesn't make sense. There's a mismatch of energy there. So you're going to speak to your audience, the ones who like your types of books, in a much more concise way, in a way that lets them know, like, oh, of course, this is my book. Of course, I love rockstar romances. I love redemption arcs. I love that, whatever it might be. You're going to have the language to be able to describe it. And even if you personally don't have the full clarity, ChatGPT can give that to you, which I wish that I had 15 years ago. There were so many times where I'm like looking at my book going, okay, I think this is fantasy. And my best friend's over there going, but it's actually on a different planet. It's science fiction. I'm like, no, it's not. It's fantasy. Seriously, it negates all of that nonsense, all the confusion about what the heck is your book for? What is it about? Like all the things. It's a game changer. And if you have your book finished, if you have a book blurb, you can feed it that information. It can tell you more information to you about who your readers are and how do you communicate to those people about why they're going to love this book. It's a game changer, right? Phase 1 is also about what does success look like for us? Because like I said, over the years, we've had so many people tell us that success is, skyrocketing sales. We're going to have that like Uber exposure. We're going to have readers coming in out of like the woodwork. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have thousands and thousands of dollars of sales, and it's just going to be fantastic. But not everybody wants that. Not everybody wants a success story that looks like that. Sometimes it's literally like, I just want to be able to finish this book and say I did it and get it out into the world and quietly share it with the people that I think are going to like it. And because that's where our energy is at, right? Sometimes our energy is in protection mode, but we still have something we want to share. There's no right way and no wrong way to want to write your books and share your books. But I think those more subdued launches, or those subdued types of, like what would success look like to some, maybe it's even just something as simple as, I get a couple of comments and then I know that I've done a good job. Or maybe it's, I tried a new launch strategy like? Instead of it's just ebook, it's ebook and paperback. Like what does that success look like for you? And be okay with that, because our success doesn't have to just be monetary metrics. It's nice, don't get me wrong, and it's great because ChatGPT can help position us in a way that is going to help get that organic sale situation going. And if you're using ads in any capacity, it can help you narrow down and focus your ads as well. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can utilize ChatGPT to help you with your metrics, but not all successes are created equal. And I just want to kind of bring attention to the fact that not every success has to be monetary. Okay. What's your energy like right now? This is also a big part of phase one, because when you're creating your launch strategy, it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to go and try to list aim. Like it doesn't have to be that big. It can be just a smaller thing. And if you don't know what that looks like, but you know, like, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I have XYZ, these things going on. My family has this going on, school starting. And so therefore, blah, blah, blah. Like you can tell ChatGPT all the things that you're kind of dealing with right now so that it can give you a little bit of a, a check. It can check you in and be like, you wanted to do a launch like right at the middle of September, but here's all the things that are going to like be taking up your time. Are you sure you want to do that? So it can help you as you're going back and forth to figure out like, what could I really do, like without feeling like I'm about ready to implode. And so each of us is different, right? As someone who is a high achiever, who likes to be on the go, I can handle a lot, but I also have seen over the years myself burning out. And so I even have to pull back and be like, okay, what is it that I really want to accomplish here? And am I pushing myself because I feel like there's this element of fear driving me, that I'm not doing the right thing, that I'm not launching in a way that everybody says you have to do? Is it because I'm trying to prove something? Or am I doing it because I really feel like this is the aligned time frame for me? And over the past, I would say 2 years for sure, that I've been leaning more into like what actually feels right, what feels right for me versus what the industry has been telling me for all the years. You know what I mean? And I do that with a lot of things. So if you saw my email, for instance, about the audiobooks and moving from Findaway and ACX over to Authors Republic, you know what I'm talking about, right? I question things and I start to feel into what actually feels right for me versus, what is everybody else doing? All right, so this is our first demo prompt. And this is the one that this is what I would use if I was just starting out. And it doesn't matter if you're using the custom GPT or if you're using just straight up ChatGPT, but I'm going to use this one. It's a little bit longer. So when I say, help me clarify my book launch vision based off of this book description, audience, timeline, and energy, I've actually gone through and given that information. So I have it copied so that I can just paste it over. So I'm going to stop sharing here and move it back over to the first demo. Let me pull up ChatGPT, see if I can find the right one here. I think it's this one. Pretty sure it's this one anyway. All right, can you see my screen where it just says, how can I help you, Carissa? Is that what it says? Hopefully. All right. Let me go to the chat here quick. Yes, okay, good. So you can see how the whole thing here says, help me clarify my book launch vision based off of all the things that we just said. So I gave it the title description, series description, the actual book blurb, which is that whole thing. My audience is steamy rom-com lovers, timeline. I gave it some information, letting it know that it's currently in Kickstarter, when things would be going out. And my energy level is that I'm totally open to see what happens, right? And so I just want to see what it comes up with. So this is without it knowing my framework that I'm going to be teaching you. This is just literally like what it knows of what I just gave it, and based off of what it knows interacting with me in general as well, because I have pro version, right? So it understands all this other stuff about my work with Author Revolution, with Manifest Differently, all the things. So it's going to give me some information. So the core vibe tells me like different information, my audience, obviously. So the tropes that they can that they can spot a mile away. Great. They're most active on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Substack, Discord, Patreon, whatever. Ideal timing for this launch. So it's saying you're doing Kickstarter right now through July 31st. So retail launch window would be great at this time frame. It gives a bunch of information about how to go about doing it. Energetic strategy. Let's make this a rom-com reality show. That's kind of funny. So then it gives me a little bit more of a launch strategy. So it's got like all sorts of different things: Kickstarter phase, email updates to backers, when to do the exclusive drops, full retail. So this one goes into straight up like everything that I kind of wanted to see, like right off the bat. But it doesn't know the rest of the picture, right? It doesn't know some of the other things that we're going to be talking about. So it's just kind of neat. You can go through all these different things. It gives email campaigns. It's giving bonus vision elements. Geez, it's really going down. There's a lot that it gave, right? So it's so much information, so much good stuff that can happen there. Now, I'm actually going to do a comparison. So originally I was going to just show this at the end, but I'm just going to do a comparison. I did the same thing here for the Launch Lab GPT. So it did the same thing, but it actually wanted me to clarify a little bit more, right? So it asks one question at a time. Okay, let's kick this off with clarifying. So I went through and gave it a little more information, letting it know that, I'm kind of wanting to be as organic as possible with no ads, because I'm not a huge fan of the ad platforms right now and what they've been doing to authors. Beautiful, lets me know, whatever it is that we're doing this, but it wanted to know, first thing it asked then, because in this particular one, I didn't say that it was book 3. Like I added that in for the other side, right? So it didn't ask about, or I didn't add in there book 3. So I gave it more information about the series. It's like, great. Again, only ask one question. What kind of energy or vibe do you want this to have, with the launch to have? So I gave more information. So you see how it's a little bit different already. Like I gave a lot of information, but it slowed down for me. It was able to let me kind of stop and think about things versus just like dropping this huge thing right off the bat. Sometimes that's not bad, because it gives you something to think about right away. And you can kind of process through it and go, okay, well, I liked what you said here, but I really need to change this, and this, right? You can go through and start kind of having that back and forth conversation with chat from this point forward, but it's still not operating from the framework. And so that can be, it's like it almost kind of leaps ahead before it knows all of the story. Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to come back out of here, because I'm going to show the rest of the framework. We're going to kind of go back and forth between the two of those things. All right. So that was the first prompt for phase 1, right? Now, phase 2, it's about picking that launch model. So when we were in that first ChatGPT, it wasn't in the launch lab. This was in the main one. It just went ahead and gave like, here's the launch strategy for you. Like, it doesn't even say what kind of launch it was. It was just like, here's a whole bunch of information. Have fun sorting through this thing and enjoy, right? But for us, we want to actually be more intentional, because of the fact that we don't want all launch plans to be exactly the same. So we want to ask ourselves the question of like, which launch style fits us? What is it that we're trying to have happen for this particular book? And the thing that's cool about chat is that it can come up with information for you if you don't understand launching in general. Like if you don't have the information, it can do it for you. But then you're following along with its plan. You're not following along with your own plan, and you're not dictating to it what you really want. And so the difference here is understanding what it is that you're really looking for, so that it can be aligned with you, specifically you, okay? Because otherwise it's just going off of like, here's like what everybody else is saying they're doing, so this must be what you want to do, right? And it just gives you like this whole word vomit thing, and you go for it. But that's not the vibe, right? We're trying to be personalized with our launches. So do we want to do a soft launch? And that could look like, we put it up on Amazon and start talking about it once in a while in email and, TikToks or wherever you post, right? It can be so low key that like literally it's out there and you're just going to kind of share it whenever you feel right. A hard launch could be like those big listing things. Like, we're going to go all in. Like, this thing's not launching for a year, so we're going to talk to every book blogger, every book talker, every influencer that we can think of. We're going to start getting on all the podcasts. We're going to do all of the things. We're going to, have this huge pre-launch page, and they're going to get all these goodies. Like, hard launches are big events, and you can have big parties and all sorts of things that you're going to do, book signings for a hard launch. A soft launch is way more low key, right? And so is it that? Is it just a pre-order buildup? Like, are we going to give ourselves 2 weeks, 3 months, a year to start gaining pre-orders in whatever platform we're using, and use that time frame to get people interested and excited about the book, so that during the lead up to the launch, that's where you're putting the majority of your energy, not as it launches, not as it drops, but instead that entire space before the book launches. Are we putting all the energy there? Is it going to be email first? Like we're just going to email, or even Patreon, or like, some other drip kind of category. Like for me, I do a lot of my initial launches in Patreon. I will write the chapter by chapter and give it to my Patreon supporters, because they're there wanting to be a part of my book writing process. So it could look like that, or it could look like you're dropping it through emails, or it could look like you've written your book and now you're only giving it to your email list first. Do you see what I'm saying? So it could be that kind of thing. It can be Kickstarter or crowdfunded, like I'm doing with Dirty Developments right now. By doing that, then you have to come up with strategies for, like, what does your Kickstarter say? What kind of pledges are you going to be doing? What kind of bonuses are you going to be offering? Stretch goals, things like that. What kind of add-ons? So you're going to be having a much different conversation to be doing any kind of crowdfunded or Kickstarter event versus doing, like I said, a soft launch or a hard launch. And then, of course, is this a backlist relaunch? A backlist relaunch could actually technically be any of these other launches, but it's important to know, like for me, Dirty Developments is book 3. My goal, my job is to get people interested in the first 2 books, because I kind of soft launched those first 2. So now it's time, now that there's 3 books, to start getting people aware of this series. And so I'm going to be, once the Kickstarter is finished, because that was the first initial phase, I'll be working on my next strategy of how I'm going to launch the backlist relaunch. And that's why, when I was going through my Launch Lab GPT, I realized, oh my gosh, I need to launch this in February. But I didn't have February on my to-do list before I started this process. Okay, so with this, the ChatGPT demo prompt is going to be, what type of launch model fits my genre, the goals, and my energy? So I'm going to stop here. We're going to share over again. I want to see, let's see. Got to make sure I'm pulling up the right one here. Oops, that's that one. I have too many tabs open and it moves them around. I think it's this one actually. Yeah, okay. Share. Okay, so we're back over there. Let me grab that prompt here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that one. So even though it gave us some insights into what it believes the launch strategy would look like, I'm going to ask it that specific question. So what type of launch model fits my genre, goals, and energy? Because we wanted to kind of stop and actually think about it, right? So when you have the paid version, it's going to understand more about you too. It's going to understand all the different things that you're doing, not just what you told it. So it's giving more information about goals, energy, playful, doing things without burnout would be super. Let's see, best fit launch model, slow burn spectacle. I like that name. That's great. Okay. So a hybrid launch strategy that blends crowdfunding, Kickstarter launch, private backer experience, tiered public retail, and then series funnel reboot. So it is saying, it's actually talking about a series funnel reboot, which is what I was thinking about as well. So then it gives a more of a breakdown of what it sees as how this would work, how it would look for all of us, right? Now, when I was going through the Launch Lab instead, I let it know I want to be totally chill as possible while bringing in fun, alignment, sassiness, and joy. So it gave a lot more information about which kind of aligned launch models sounded right for me. So it instead asks me what sounds right. So I was looking at the different things. I'm like, I love the idea of number 1, which is the backlist revival with a twist. And so perfect, we're going to do all these things. It started going through the conversation. But then it asked me, each one, as we're going through the different phases, it asked different parts of how this gets to work for us. So when would you ideally want to go wide? So I let it know again, we're going to be ending things. We're going to have everything out by mid-September, wide launches open after that. So I wasn't sure when it would be. And as we went through, Valentine's Day was a sweet spot. And what's interesting about this particular book, it didn't know it at the time, but the prologue actually happens on Valentine's Day. And so as we went back and forth, I shared that information. So I like copied and pasted that whole prologue, let it know what it was going to look like, which is why there's so much there. And it was like, of course, this is like the perfect timeline. And of course, ChatGPT always loves to validate whatever it is you're saying. But there, for me, I was also getting lit up. So as a manifesting generator, whenever I get lit up by a date, I'm like, this was the right one. This is the time frame. Even though I had not even had this on my agenda, I didn't think anything about Valentine's Day. But okay, let's do this thing. So that's kind of where we're going to be at. And so it started talking about ARC readers and street teams. Do I have those ready? And so I have an ARC team already, but I don't have a street team. So we're in the process of building things out. But that was something it offered on its own based off of what we're having this conversation about when it comes to this launch. With the Launch Lab GPT, it's just such a more personalized experience is how it feels. It doesn't feel like it's, well, here's all the information, you do with this what you will, but instead it's more dynamic. It feels like it's more in flow with having you stop to think about what really is mattering for you right now. Okay, let us go back to the slides. Does that make sense so far? Are there any other questions that are popping up? I should probably see if I can find your questions if there are any. And of course, Zoom is being funny and it's like, I'm not going to bring up the chat. There we go. Okay, no questions so far. Good. If there are questions, like I said, just let me know. Okay, so phase 3 in your launch strategy then is to map out your launch timeline. And you reverse engineer this from your launch date, or ChatGPT can help you reverse engineer all the things based off of your launch date. And like I said, if you don't know what you want, ChatGPT can help you figure it out. It can do the deeper research. And part of the reason why it offered Valentine's Day was because it understands romance readers are really kind of in high gear come that time frame. And had I been thinking about that, it probably would have been an obvious date. But I was also looking at this year. I wasn't looking necessarily into next year. So it can help you kind of dig through and give you alternatives if that didn't feel right. Like if you wanted to launch faster, for instance, it can give you alternatives, which it did do. It gave me some insights into like the October, November timeframe, like the regular GPT did, because of the fact that like people are getting ready for like Christmas and starting to think about that sort of thing and having time off for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all those things. But that just didn't feel right. And so we had the deeper conversation, right? But once you have your timeline, it can help you do so many different things. So like figuring out your weekly and monthly tasks that are going to be associated with that thing to help you stay on track. No more like, I don't know what to do this week. It can help you break it down into like, I don't need to burn out. So don't give me all the things. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do this week or this month. So I have like a checklist for the whole month and I decide each week what thing, like however you want to work it, it can help you give you all of the insights for your launches. It can help you with your emails, your social medias, your bonuses, all of those things. It can help you determine if you're going to have, like reader lead magnets that are going to help readers come into the series or come into whatever. There's so many different things that it can help you write in terms of these things. And that just helps make life so much easier. And the goal here is to remember that no matter what you do, no matter how you're going to plan out your series, done is better than perfect, right? You're always going to have more success with your books than if you are trying to aim for perfection. And that's coming from a double Virgo, right? I love to make things look seamless. I love to make things and the experience feel as though the flow is there and it's meant to be a certain way, right? I'd like to create the experience in my head first and try to give and deliver that to my readers. Even to you guys, right? So when I'm launching these different courses, I'm trying to think about like all the different ways where, how can I make this more easy for you guys? How can I deliver emails that are going to make more sense so that they're not annoying? How can I give you options to opt out if the emails are annoying? Like all the things, these are things that I think about, but it can help you to remember, like as much as you can do, sometimes you have to remember that done's better than perfect. There's no such thing as perfect ever. And sometimes you're going to screw up, or sometimes you're going to do things and it's going to be a little bit wonky. You're not going to understand why. It's all learning lessons. It's all things that we're trying to incorporate into our embodiment, right? And so we can't embody something unless we actually try it. Okay, Sherry just said, at what point in your writing of the book should you start the launch lab? Should you wait until your books are at least half done with the book? I tend to be a deadline writer. I think personally, when I would so like right now I'm obviously using it because I'm launching Dirty Development starting in Kickstarter. And so that is the one that's most on my mind. Also the Write Your Reality and Write From Your Mind. I'm using it for those as well to think about like what are the next steps, because that Kickstarter is already over. And I'm in the final phases of editing and trying to get the last little bits done of those books. And so I'm on the back end and it's working just fine. But going forward, I think what I would be doing instead, just to be in more alignment, is I'd be starting it before I even start writing. Give myself some ideas about like, what do I like, how fast do I need to write if I want to launch this thing on X date. So you can do it like way in the beginning, like when you're planning your book, when you're figuring out your characters, like all of that stuff. If you want to have an idea of how to keep yourself accountable through the whole process, I would do it right away in the beginning. And that's probably what I'll be doing from here on out. So great question. Let me know if you have any follow-ups to that, but that's how I personally would work it. Okay, so for this section, I've got like create a 4-week book launch timeline based off of X, X type of launch, include social and email post ideas. So I'm going to switch back over. We'll do that. Oops. We'll do that for both because that's one thing that I haven't done. Oops. Desktop 2. There we go. It's over there. Okay, let me grab. Okay, so I actually changed the thing so it says backlist revival on mine so that we can make sure that it's actually doing the thing that I want it to do. So let's see what regular ChatGPT says. Now this is just ChatGPT 4.0. If you wanted more insights, if you wanted to have just a little bit more of a dynamic conversation with you, you could switch it to 0.3, just as an FYI. But I found that 4.0 is perfectly fine when it comes to the model types. Okay. I'll answer you in a second here, Kathy. Oh yes, reviving a backlist book. That's pure strategic magic. Isn't that funny? It's like it knows me. It likes to get all woo with me. Which backlist books are we reviving? So it's asking questions. What platforms is it currently available on? What's your main launch goal? So it's interesting that now it's asking questions of me that are going to be similar to what we should have already been asking questions of ourselves, right? So do we want, like, all of these things are actually in alignment to the strategies that I've been giving to you, which is great. But do you see how it's like this whole big chunk of information? And so when you are already overwhelmed or you've got a lot of things that you're trying to do when it comes to your book and you're kind of clouded in your head, do you see how this could be a little bit, what's the word? Oh, too overwhelming. So then again, remember, the confused mind does nothing. When we get too much information back at us, I know from me, myself, for sure, I tend to go, oh gosh, how am I going to answer all of these things? Because it's like, I want to answer it to the best of my ability. And so then I start kind of glitching out and I don't like to do all the things. I have found like ways around that. So like, if you don't want to use the custom GPT, one of the ways around it is to use the voice memo. So I'll just look at on my screen over here, and I do this just because so there are some custom GPTs that haven't, like, they still don't do the step-by-step the way that I just built this thing. So I know that I have to answer these questions before it can move on. And so I will use my phone instead to record. I mean, technically, if you look down here, you can dictate it now. But I found it gets kind of glitchy on my computer and I don't know why that is. So I tend to do it through the custom GPT or through the GPT on my phone instead. So I'll be looking at the thing where it's like, okay, which backlist books are we reviving? I'm just going to go ahead and say, it's book 1 and 2 of the One Night Stand Club, Dirty Plans, Dirty Books. Is it steamy rom-com? Yes. And I will literally just talk like that, like literally letting it know like what all these things are, right? And you can just hit send and let it do its thing. Or you can sit there and type it out and let it know one by one. Or you can even ask it. Like, you can technically, when you're looking at it like this and you're going, oh my God, this is too many things, you can say, can you re-ask me these questions, but give me just one at a time because this is kind of overwhelming to me. It can do that as well. So that's another little hack to be able to do that. And I'll come over here and do the same thing on the custom GPT. In the meantime, Kathy, I'm curious about how to decide if you should do a Kickstarter or just launched Kindle. I tried a Kickstarter once and it didn't fund. Okay, so for me, when it comes to Kickstarter, I think the biggest thing is that when you're going Kickstarter, you are still the person driving the people to your Kickstarter. So you can't rely on Kickstarter's ecosystem to bring everyone. The the nice thing is that like if you are using Kickstarter, there are people on that platform actively looking for books. But that being said, Kickstarter is also algorithm based in the beginning. So if you're not getting enough people sent to and funneled to your Kickstarter, it's going to have a hard time gaining traction. And so one of the things that Anthea Sharp recommends, she's the one of the ladies that does Kickstarter for authors. She has like a Facebook group, Kickstarter for authors, and I think she's even running her second edition of her book, Kickstarter for authors, right now. But she recommends having somewhere between 25 and 50 pre-launch update people. So like you create a pre-launch page for your Kickstarter and you're looking for people who want to be notified when this thing goes live. So it'll start counting how many people are in that wait list. And so your goal is to wait to launch it until you've got 25 to 50 people. So you're sending people, your own people, to this pre-launch page over and over again, letting them know that this thing's going to be going live. You don't have to give them a date because if you're waiting for that tipping point, that's what Anthea has talked about in her books, is that that's kind of like the sweet spot where if you can get that many people who are actively waiting to see this thing go live, you're probably going to get funded. But it is a little bit putsy because if you don't have a big list yet and you're hoping for the Kickstarter to fund, then you have to start relying on other things. So you're going to have to rely on influencers, get on people's podcasts, do some swaps, get the word out about your Kickstarter in a different way. And that requires, again, a different launch strategy about that type of thing. But if you are, if you have, like for myself, I have, I think 7,000 subscribers now after I cleaned my list recently so that they're more active. And so like I've been able to send people over there without much of an outside source, right? I could have done more. I could have asked more people, but it wasn't on my bingo card for this particular month. There was a lot of other things going on, like kids had doctor's appointments and other things. So my priorities were different than it would have been had nothing else been going on, if that makes sense. So let me know if there's more questions there, but I can definitely go into more detail there. Okay, so it says, hell yes. She gets sassy. It's funny. Hell yes, let's bring this launch plan together. Since we're aiming for a 4-week backlist revival mode, your launch becomes a party that highlights dirty developments, reignites dirty plans and dirty books, connects it through sass, joy, and Valentine magic. Before I map it out, I need 2 quick things to tailor it best. How often do you like to email your list right now? And where do you usually post socially? So see how it's asking just like 2 quick questions to know how to be able to map out what it is that we want. So then we would answer those questions. Like for me, how often do I like to email my list right now? Well, I email once a week for sure for all of my my author or my reader facing newsletters. So for sure that. But as I'm launching, I'm open to more. So it's up to chat to be able to help me. Like what would be a good strategy there? Like what would it suggest? And then where do I usually post? It's on Patreon, TikTok, Blue Sky, Substack, not Threads. So yeah, and so I would just be like, those are the things that I want you to do, and it'll sit there and do its thing. So there we go. All right, let's go back to the slides. I should probably, do you guys want me, but before I move on, do you want me to actually tell it that so it builds the strategy for us? Or do you want me to just keep going when it comes to everything else? Oops. Let's see if I can get the chat window to pop open. Do you have a preference there? Keep going. Okay, perfect. I'll just keep going. And then if you do want me to go back, I can definitely do that. Okay, so phase 4 is that monetization magic that I was talking about. Now, we can really make our launches work for us and think outside the box when it comes to this last phase of the launch like planning strategy, right? Because we're building together things that can really help us to maximize what we're looking for. So we can add backlist bundles together. We could create bonuses or reader magnets using this thing. Paid upgrades or pre-order perks for people. Like you could create launch pages and landing pages that if they sign up, they're going to get XYZ certain things, whatever they might be. You can incorporate other services, offers, or merch. So like if you do other things than just writing that you feel like maybe your readers would like to, if nothing else, know about, you could add those together, other offers that you can bundle it with, all sorts of different ways to be able to incorporate, especially for those of us who have Shopify stores. If you have a Shopify store or like your own store, your own website that has purchasable books, this works really, really well. Or even like when you're doing the Kickstarters, like helping you to understand other ways to be able to create some like cool products or cool things that are going to go and make people excited to purchase at certain tiers, you know, that are going to be more exclusive and things like that. There's all sorts of monetization that can happen in the background. That is a lot of fun. Okay. Okay. Everyone's going, keep going. Good. Okay. So when it comes to this, we're going to ask the question, like, give me 3 monetization ideas to add to this launch that match my genre and my energy. So that we can really kind of create something that's fun. Now, again, the key here is to remember that we want to create something that we're enjoying or that we're going to enjoy to build. We don't want it to just give us a whole list of things to do and think that we have to do it. Okay. That's really the key here. We want to make sure that we are doing something that is a little bit more our jam, that has a lot more fun. Okay. So we're going to switch back over here. Let me grab that. Okay, this is back at the main GPT, right? So again, this one gives us like a whole bunch of things. It actually gave us some emails to drive, email ideas to drive things, social posts, re-engagement funnels, things to be able to put together. It does a lot of different things, which is great. Okay, so now we're going to ask about the monetization. And in the custom GPT, the Launchpad GPT, eventually we'll get there. So like if you go through the different phases, asking questions, going back and forth, it will already ask you that question regardless. So the goal is to just keep going back and forth until it kind of goes, okay, I think we've done enough in this particular area. So let's now move on to phase 4, and it'll start asking that question. It's literally designed to continue to help you to get this entire thing fleshed out. Okay, so with this one, it's giving digital extras packs, deleted scenes, alternative POVs, book club guide, PDF, character playlists. That's kind of cool. Bonus epilogue or short story. Why it works. It gives you information about that. Kick it up a notch, which is kind of cool. Offer it free to newsletter subscribers to try to like build up your email list. That's a great one. Mini swag or swag mini drops. That's kind of cute. Debugging my heart. That's cute. So it gives like genre specific types of things. My firewall is fucked. Okay. I still don't like him probably. So all of these things, it's like, it's just helping you to kind of understand why it works, how to kick it up, how to make sure that this sort of thing is going to be a lot of fun. So it just gives you all the different things. So then it asks you, that's cool. Which one feels the sexiest? Which one feels like it's the thing that you want to actually do? So then you can decide and can go back and forth and create those things. Now we'll skip over here those questions, and we're just going to ask this and see what it does. So with this one, it knows a little bit more, I think, about what I was offering or what I was kind of going at because of the back and forth and doing that prologue. So that's kind of cool. POVs, spicy deleted scenes. So starter kits, it does basically the same kind of things. And then it asks you the same. So which one feels more aligned or fun to start with? So not a super huge difference here, but it gives some ideas. And if you ever get to a point where you're reading these things, you're like, none of them, not a single one of those like are calling to me. Like I actually had that conversation with chat today when I was trying to figure out like, what are the energies I'm feeling right now for midsummer, and it was giving me some kind of basic information. I'm like, that's not the vibe. Like there's a deeper vibe here. And so I was going back and forth and like, this is kind of how I'm feeling. And I don't know why or what energies I'm pulling from this. And so we went back and forth and had a conversation about why certain things would be and came up with a much better idea of what I want to do for midsummer. So worst Valentine's Day ever. Yes, it was actually in that book. So all right, let's go back over to share. I just learned that I can switch back and forth this quickly. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I know I could do this? That's pretty sad. instead of having to stop, share, and reshare. That's funny. See, Mercury retrograde, some days you're just gonna go, oh, look at, I can do that. Okay. So this is where I was going to share the launch lab instead, and saying, you know, that this could be a streamlining of your process. So you don't have to necessarily give it those prompts, because it will walk you through, like, as you're doing each phase, as you're asking the first question, and then it gets information, gives you insights, does the thing, and it feels like you've gotten enough information in that phase, it will then start to ask you about the next phase. It will naturally guide you through the whole process. So you don't even have to necessarily remember the phases. It will just kind of bring you through the whole thing and help you to create the whole thing. Okay, so let's go through a recap just real quickly here. I don't know if it's really a recap, but you'll get the point. So you've got a personalized strategy that you can use to access through ChatGPT to give you insights into how you are going to create each and every launch. And it doesn't have to just be book launches, right? No matter what you do, no matter what you're creating, this is kind of the strategy, because you want to understand, you know, all of these processes, like where's your clarity at? What kind of launch are you looking at? Are you going to go big or go home? Are you going to go broke? Like, I don't know, whatever. Like, what is your timeline? This is kind of the process for anything that you're putting out into the world. And so you can reuse this framework over and over again, but you don't have to use it in a way that means each launch is exactly the same. You obviously can adapt it for each launch. It's almost like I knew it was in this slide. And then, of course, use the GPT as your co-strategist, because it only gets better. Like, in my experience over the past few years, ChatGPT, as it grows, as it gives new models, or as it gives new options, you know, like custom GPTs or projects, it's giving us tools to be able to dig even deeper into understanding what it is that we're wanting, even when our own cognitive ability or our own understanding of being an indie author hasn't quite made it there yet. It knows the information. It can help us to be able to learn, you know, the different aspects of what's next, or what I didn't even think I needed that part. Oh, that's a really good question, chat, you know, things like that. Okay, what's going on over here? It says, my daughter's boyfriend broke up with her on Valentine's Day by text. Ooh, but they're now happily married. That would be a good story. That would be a really good story, actually. Is your launch lab a separate custom GPT, or do you put it inside the books GPT, like a project folder? No, unfortunately, right now, projects cannot access custom GPTs. I don't know why they haven't made this available yet. So right now, you have to just use the custom GPT solo, which is kind of a pain, because it isn't going to be tied to your project. So if you do have the projects like we've been talking about, you can't access that. However, when you create the information and create the launch strategy using the custom GPT, or whatever, I mean, you can do it then using those prompts in your project folder, though. So like those prompts that I've been giving you, you can create, you know, a launch, call it a launch lab, or your launch, whatever the launch thread inside of that project. And so all of them will be operating from that. And you could even give it the insights of, like, you know, these are the 4 phases that I want you to help me figure out. And like, we're going to go through that process. So you can create it. You'd have to do a little bit of fiddling in order to make that work, but you could totally do it that way. You could probably access that easier by going to the custom GPT that I've created and then asking it to help you create a project folder or file for it. Just a little side note of that, because then you can do it all in your project folder, and it'll understand more about your series then, because all that stuff should be in that particular project file. So, but otherwise, if you're going to use the custom GPT, it would be by itself, because they can't connect the two yet, which is a bummer. I wish that they would. Okay, so the next thing is obviously that launch GPT. So let me grab you the link to get access to that. So it's right there. Otherwise, here's the link. You can just go ahead and click over onto it, and it'll go over there. You can access it. Like I said, if you want to create a project, what I would probably do for the easiest way to do it would either be, well, probably both. I would ask the custom GPT to give you like an SOP, like standard operating procedure for your project, to create a launch lab thread that's going to access this SOP. And so what it'll do is it'll create like a whole thing, letting your project know that this is the step-by-step instructions of how you want to create your launches going forward. So once you have that SOP, upload it as a project file into your project, and then create one thread that's only for launches, and use that until it starts glitching out. And what I've seen over the past 2 years now, it's like the thread gets much longer before it starts glitching out and starting to hallucinate now. So it's going to take a hot second. So you can go ahead and just do that for all of the books in that series and see how it's feeling for you. So that would be how I would handle that. Okay. Then there's the prompt pack. And so let me get this in here for you. I had it up and ready. There it is. Move that over there as well. So that's a PDF. You can just download it. So this is going to have not just the prompts that we went through today, but it'll have some more suggestions for each of the phases as well. So you can just kind of go back and forth and copy them if they sound like things that you want to use. You could also upload that as a guide for your project instead, but it's not going to have the full context because I don't go through in that guide necessarily what each of the phases are. I'm assuming when you're listening or when you're going through it that you already know because you've been in the class. So that's what I would still have it create an SOP from the custom GPT, and then you can stop using the custom GPT. But if you wanted to also walk you step by step versus just info dropping everything in that project thread, so in that chat thread inside the project for launches, I would tell it, hey, like ask me questions one at a time, because otherwise I'm going to get overwhelmed, and it'll slow down so that it doesn't give you all the things all at once. Okay. So, and then of course there will be a replay link. It'll be emailed out shortly. If you are a masterclass member, it will be in there also this afternoon. If you're not a masterclass member, just a like reminder, like all of the masterclasses that I've done have like a masterclass library if you're a masterclass member. And that's the only place where you can get all of them in one place. So otherwise, when you're getting them solo, you're going to have access to them for life, which is different from the membership. Like you only have access to them as long as you're a member. But if you have the solo classes, you have the link forever, that they're not going to go anywhere. All right. Whew, there's a lot to talk about, guys. I was going through my slides thinking, man, I don't know. There's not as many slides as last time. Like what? I talk a lot though. Okay. Let's go back over to questions now. Feel free to just talk, like unmute yourself and ask the questions, because that's the fun of Zoom. Is there anything that came up here that you're like, okay, I need a little more clarity, or I need to understand launches a little bit better? Anything going on there? Wow, this has got to be a first.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question. Hi.
Hey, Natalie.
I just had to turn the light on. There we go. Um, yeah, I was actually wondering because I thought it would be more like what kind of process you actually suggest for a launch. I mean, do you have like standard things that you do when you launch a novel, like say the first one in a series?
Sure. Yeah, for me personally, I've gone through different phases over the years, because sometimes I've done rapid releasing. And so that again, it goes back to the strategy of like what kind of strategy are you looking for when it comes to each book? When I'm launching the first book in a series, I tend to be more low key. There are some people that go really big with a first in series because they think that that's going to help it get more exposure. But in my experience, a first in series, I would wait until book 3 to really put a whole lot of energy behind anything, because most of the time, at least in fiction. So if you're doing nonfiction, it's a little different. But in fiction, I would wait until book 3 to go big, because most readers in fiction, if it's going to be part of a series, they're going to see the first book and they're going to be like, I don't know. And so they want to see, more books coming out. They want to see what your cadence is. They want to know that readers have read it and liked it. And so typically I'll wait to really do a push until book 3.
Oh.
When it comes to, like in the past, when I was launching, then doing that sort of thing, I would do like more ads. I would do blog, like a blog tour. I would do like influencer reach outs, podcast interviews, because I liked to do a lot more and try to get more traction. These days are a little bit different. I'm kind of more low key, and I don't know if it's because I'm doing more, so I've got more going on, or if it's just that I'm not as I don't know, I'm just not as much of a pusher in the book space anymore. When it comes to those launches, I kind of expect my readers to find my books when I'm sharing it, and I have found that to be the case. Is there something in specific
Mm.
that you're looking for when it comes to like time, or is there a timeline that you're looking for?
Yeah, I suppose it's different because you've got so many books, and I've got lots of children's books, but I'm launching my first adult title.
Nice,
So
congrats. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
so if
So
you're switching genres in a sense, and this is the first one, I think what I would probably be doing, do you have an idea of what you're like, what is the series going to look like? Is there a series? What is the plan for your pen name? Do you have any of that
yes, yeah.
information?
So there'll be a minimum of three, and if it kicks off, I've got plenty more to
Okay,
keep it going. But I thought I'll definitely get the three done. Yeah.
good. Okay, so knowing that, then what I would probably do is, how fast do you write?
Well, the second one's written already, but
Okay,
yeah, I think it probably won't be launched until next June, the
okay,
second one.
yeah.
Mm.
And how long did it take you to write each book?
Um, it's taken a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why,
Yeah,
yeah.
the reason I was wondering is like you could hypothetically, if book two is already almost finished, you could be thinking about doing a rapid release launch strategy. So then that book three thing becomes irrelevant a little bit, because now it's like, oh, I'm going to launch each of them. And so you're going to be hammering each one, letting people know that this is going on.
Okay.
What does your success metric look like for this series? Again, because it goes back
What
to
does
that,
my what? Sorry.
your success metric. So for me, when I've done bigger launches and I've done big rapid releasing, there have been bigger strategies. So for instance, with the Windhaven books, I was trying to list aim. And so I was going all in, like for that first year, like in between the first book launching and getting everything up and running, I was hitting every single promo site. I was reaching out to like any and all book influencers I could think of. Like I was doing all the things. And but then and that meant like I didn't launch for a year as I built all of those things together and started, paying for all of those promos and doing all the things and figuring out when each was going to hit. And it was a rapid release series, so each book was going one at a time each month. So they dropped one a month.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
yeah, so it kind of just depends on
Yeah,
how big
this
you
won't
want to
be a
go.
rapid release. This would be more like one a year.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So if that's the case, again, then I would probably not put as much energy into the first one. I would put some for sure, like build as much momentum as you feels comfortable for you. But I wouldn't put a lot of money or ad spend or anything into book one, because again, those like Deanne said, they want to binge the whole series. And so there's a lot of people who won't even look at a book one. Unfortunately, it's kind of, unless they know the author, right? So like if they're a well-known author, someone that they've already read different series from and trust, whatever, they won't care then. But if it's new transition, it's going to be a little bit harder sell to the readers at first, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I would focus more on organic reach. I would be doing things like snippets. I'd be doing like the first three chapters, getting that out and doing a lot of group promos with the first three chapters so that people can read the first little parts of it. I would be doing probably um, like a pre-launch page, but not on retailer sites. I'd be doing like a landing page where I would be collecting email addresses, giving them the three chapter sample, and then maybe some bonuses and goodies to get them excited, because now you're getting them on your list as well.
Yes.
And then you're going to tell them, hey, when this thing launches, I'll let you know. And so then you can kind of build momentum there. I try to do more, like if you have bandwidth for it, more social posts where you're talking about the tropes and the things that are going on in the book and why the readers are going to be really excited about it, because that really is what
Yes.
gets them excited to check things out. But focus more on that
Yes.
organic reach for those first two books, because then when you get to book three, now all of a sudden you can go bigger and you can start incorporating those promos. You can start doing things like a free book C, what's that called? A free book C series promo, where you're doing like book 1 for free, book 2 for like 99 cents, and book 3 then is full price. But because you have the 3 books, now it's like this big, this much bigger situation. They're like, oh my gosh, I need this whole series. And you're going to see a huge uptick in people viewing and purchasing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for, but that would be how I would handle something like that.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, in the past, I would have put so much money in and then went, why did I not see as many sales as I wanted? And then I realized, oh, it's because they're not ready yet. They're not primed. They're not primed to be able to move into the rest of the series. And so they're kind of a little bit resistant. And so, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Oh, thank you so much. That's
You're
great.
welcome. Yeah. Um, I would say going forward, my launch strategy is to figure out what feels best right now. So it's a completely different style and animal than what I was doing when I first started. In the beginning, I was definitely trying to do, like I said, all of those checklists, all of the things that people are telling you must do, and
Yeah.
trying them all
Yeah,
out, and
yeah.
you know. And what I found is that you can do all of the things and check off all of those boxes. And if your energy is misaligned, or if you're burnt out, or if you're not fully clear on what it is that you're trying to accomplish, it doesn't do anything. And then you just spent that whole time stressed out. And so it's not worth the stress out versus, you know what I mean? It's like, it's better to like take a step back and be like, how do I do this in a way that feels really good and fun? So that
Yeah.
my strategy has totally changed and flipped since then.
Yes, I like that a lot because I'm actually launching a children's book at the same time. And, it's just all getting too much. And that's why I actually love what you're saying, because it seems really in line with
Yeah,
my energy. It's like, I
good.
do actually put it out to the world and
Yeah.
just get onto book 2. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about it. And I'm going, am I doing justice to all the checklists? But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
We think
you're
that there's,
actually
all
saying
these checklists and all the things
what
that you
I feel
should be doing, but it's not, yeah, the biggest thing that we have to do is protect our energy first, because the second you start going into burnout and your nervous system starts going into dysregulation, what's been interesting to me as I try to heal my own nervous system is like, I've gone, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I did just because I thought I had to do them, and they didn't do anything.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, so now that I'm more in alignment, I'm only doing the things that feel right. So like I had one of our students, Heather, she's usually in these classes, but she's not here today. She asked me the question, I think it was 2 weeks ago. She's like, okay, with your Write Your Reality Kickstarter, you were doing updates a lot more frequently, but for Dirty Developments, it's more subdued. And like I said, there's a lot more going on this summer for me. And so I'm just kind of winging it. I'm letting it do its thing. It's already funded. I'm not super concerned if it goes skyrocketing or not, because I know what my next strategy is going to be. And so I'm more looking at like the pieces that I have to do for the Kickstarter that are going to be fun. And I'm not worried about it, becoming 10, 20,000, 30, 50,000. Like that's not even a thing for me right now. It's just, I'm kind of chill about it. Like, what sounds like fun right now? What would be a fun stretch goal right now? I don't know. Like just playing around with it and having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're actually getting the results that
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm way more chill about it and able to like, our son Mackenzie is here for the next 4 days from Florida, and we haven't seen him for a year and a half. And I'm in the middle of the Kickstarter, and I was in the middle of getting this project for you guys ready. And it's like I'm able to just chill out and be like, okay, well, there's going to be a few less slides, but it means I'm going to talk a little more. And it worked out fine. Like so it's like all these
Well,
like different things where it's like sometimes we put more pressure on ourselves, and we need to just kind of go, okay, here's where my energy level's at this time. And it doesn't mean all launches are like that, right? Every launch can be slightly different, and we can check in with ourselves a little bit more and be like, okay, well, these are all the things that are kind of happening right now, and I got to be okay with like chilling out. Or if it's gung-ho, like wide open spaces, then go for it and give yourself more time to create it. If you really want a really big hard launch, give yourself more time to build it. Like it doesn't have to be done in 2 months. It could be done over the course of a year, so that you can make sure that each month you're working towards that huge launch, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just taking some notes. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So if I do want to go harder for the second or third, yeah, just give myself a lot more time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then be planning, like even right now, even if you know book three is going to be the one where you're pushing, right? You could start planning out what does that launch look like right now, even though the book's not ready. You could be planning out like how do I like when do I want to launch it? And we already know that it's going to be at least a year out from right now, right? Start kind of building out
Yeah.
your plan and putting some of the pieces together as you're moving and then connect the pieces that you don't have when you have them. Does that make sense? So like you
Mhm.
could build a
Yeah.
landing page, for instance. You might not have the 3 chapter sample to give, but when you do, you've got it. Like there's just little whatever you feel like sounds like fun and is doable for you right now. That's the thing you work on until the rest of it is done. So
Yeah.
I would just be thinking about like how do you want it to look and how do you want it to feel and do you want to spread it out
Mhm.
between now and then?
Yeah. So for because I've got a pop up on my website, so I should put the first 3 chapters on there
Oh
to
yeah.
start
Yep.
gathering interest. Yeah, I
Yep.
haven't.
Do you use BookFunnel? Because you can do it through BookFunnel pretty easily.
Oh, okay. No, I don't use BookFunnel.
Okay.
Okay, but I will look into it and get
Yeah.
it.
BookFunnel
Okay.
is great. You not only can you like if you ever get to the point where you want to sell your own books, you can deliver your books, like the full books, audiobooks, all of that stuff through BookFunnel. Um, but also like you could I think technically you don't even need to have like Shopify or anything if you wanted to just use BookFunnel at this point. I think they have pay integrations right through their own site, but you can do group promos, you can do newsletter swaps, all right there inside of BookFunnel. They're so good.
Oh, amazing. So
Mm,
you subscribe every month
yeah.
and
Yep. If you want to be able
yeah.
to deliver audiobooks, I think it's an extra cost, but I think it starts at like $10 a month. So it's not bad.
Okay. I do actually have your audiobook course, which I have
Nice.
to do now. I bought it, yeah, quite a while ago now.
Yeah, it was last year when I
Was
first
it like
launched
a
it.
year ago when you launched
Yeah.
it? Was it a year ago?
And it's been so wild since then.
Ah,
11 Labs now is accepted um through Findaway and through Author Nation. So you can actually do 11 Labs. So AI, so if you do the AI version, that's changed since last year and I need to update that module. But it's been
oh,
such an
okay.
interesting year. Yeah, for sure. There's so many cool
But
things that have
in
happened.
general, it's still fine. Like
Mhm.
everything, there's just one. Which module should I watch out on?
It's only
The,
in the AI course. So like I talked about how at the time like Find a Way wasn't accepting 11 labs and so you could offer it, you could still put it through and see what happens. But now they actually
okay.
accept those through both AI, through Find a Way and through Authors Republic.
Okay. But all the rest of the course is all relevant still, even though a year has passed. Because yeah, I have to start creating this first novel into an audiobook now, and I will be using your
It's
course.
so
That's why I
fun.
bought it.
It is so
Yeah.
fun. I love it. Sherry, yeah, it's Authors Republic is the one that I switched to. Yep. When I was
Okay.
going through the terms of service with the switch from Find a Way to in audio, and then the like the way that they took out Spotify, so now you have to sign up for Spotify for authors. And I was looking at the terms of service, and I remember what they did the last time with that terms of service update, and everyone was flipping out about it. I made sure to go through it, and it was like, no, it's still sus to me. It's like they can change things on a dime. They're already like not paying out very well with their subscription models. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff happening there that I was just like, you know what? I was going to switch the last time they were being a little bit wonky, and I just didn't have the bandwidth for it. And so I went ahead and did it. It took me 2 days, and I have almost all of my audiobooks. I think there's only 3 that I don't have in audiobook form right now. So I did all of them. I had to do some minor tweaking to the files because they wanted a slightly different sample rate. But other than that, edited them all up. It was fine. So it went pretty well. Would you integrate your
Okay.
audiobooks into Launch Lab for the book or do a set? Oh, no. Yeah, you can use Launch Lab for your audiobooks for sure. Yeah. If you wanted to do any kind of launch for your audiobooks in a specific way, if you wanted to showcase how they're working when you do launch them, for sure you can use LaunchLab for that. Does that
So
make
what
sense?
I'm wondering though,
Hey, just wanted to say thank you, Carissa. I have 2 launches for the rest of the year. I'll definitely be giving you feedback, and I
Good.
really, really appreciate it. I do have to go. It was
Okay.
awesome seeing you. Awesome seeing everybody. I'll see you guys
Thanks.
soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Camilla. Have a great day.
You-
What was
so
that, Sherry?
question I'm wondering though is would like you're launching your book, it's just going to be coming out. You've got it in your launch lab, and say you also have the audiobook ready to go.
Mhm.
Would you blend those two into a single launch? Or would
I
you?
would. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the bigger, like the bigger options you've got for that particular book, the more people are going to be interested. So you're going to be hitting it from different levels. So if you're doing them all at the same exact time, then you can let chat know, like, these are all the different formats that I'm going to be dropping. So I need to make sure that my readers who are looking at this thing are looking at all the different options available to them. So you'd be talking about them either through your emails, through your launch materials, through your social media posts, whatever it might be, so that they know. And you can also do, like, in your social media posts, you can say available in this, and this, and have links to each one if you wanted to. You could have, like, if you're using Linktree, for instance, you could have options for each of the formats depending on how many books you have. Like for me, it's just like I just send them straight to the one page, and they can see on my Shopify store, the different versions that are available. Yeah, so that's probably what I would do, is just launch them all at the same time so that they know, because you're putting so much energy and effort already into that particular book that if you have them available, it just makes sense to just combine it all and make it really big. If you don't have it though, you can absolutely draw more attention back to it. And sometimes you get more people coming back to the ebook and the paperback book or whatever, because now the audiobook's available. So it works both ways. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But if you had it ready, that's how I would do it.
Okay, great. Because I mean, I've got one series that I've hired somebody to narrate, but the last book that the person couldn't do it. And I've been toying with using the 11 Labs for it, but I just didn't know how well this stuff would be received if you're using something like 11 Labs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the interesting thing is because now that they're being accepted through the different platforms, there is a lot more people out there who actually are like, hey, this is not so bad. The biggest thing that I would say that's changed since that course came out is that it does work really well to put down, like, in Authors Republic, when I did, because I have 2 books that are done through 11 Labs so like the Dirty Development or Dirty Plans, Dirty Books, where the guy's voice is it's the AI version. And so I have it where it's a hybrid. And unfortunately, through Authors Republic, it doesn't, like, you can choose that it's either an AI book or it's like a narrated audiobook. So I had to choose narrated because I'm the one that narrated the female version, but I didn't do obviously the man's. And so there's a little section at the bottom of my description, so on the sales page, where I put on there intentionally, like, that it's a hybrid book, that the female voices were recorded and mastered and whatever through me, but the male chapter's voice is actually an AI version of London, or like whoever it is. Chad helped me actually write the little tagline so that I could make sure that it was obvious to the reader when they're getting it that it's a hybrid book. So there's those options. If it's a straight up AI book, like in Authors Republic, you just say it was done through Findaway, and then you tell it who the AI voice is, and go from there. So it's
It
really easy.
came up because for the same thing, it's like it was all female point of view, and then the last book is his point of view, and my narrator's like, I can't sustain that, which
Yeah,
is fair. So
yeah,
like, okay, but I can't keep affording, a lot of
right.
money for another narrator. So it's
Yep. Yeah. So I would say that, the biggest holdback for 11 Labs for me that is a little putsy is that if you don't have the $99 to pay, because it's $99 a month, if you want to have access to be able to, like, do your whole book, especially if it's a longer book, but the thing is you have to like really listen and go through it. You can get your whole book narrated for $99 and then shut off the paid subscription. Like if you're not using it every single month, there's no reason to do that. So you just $99 for 1 month, hammer it out, get it done. But there's a lot of putziness sometimes, especially if you have names or places that are a little bit weird. And you want to make, like with my fantasy books, for instance, that would be a little bit more difficult because sometimes there's names that are just a little weird, right? And so you have to listen to each line, is what I found. But it's kind of fun because now you're going through it and it's almost like a secondary editor because you're listening to the person read, like the AI reading it for you. And so if you missed a word or if you put the wrong word or something, you're going to hear it and you're like, wait a second, I got to fix that. So it's actually kind of a neat secondary editing process.
I could also see where you could utilize something like that in your launch, like if you had little promo blurbs that you wanted to create.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that 3-book thing the reason why you're doing the Kickstarter on your 3rd book in your series?
It is, yeah. So the first 2 books, I was actually planning on doing all 3 of them last year, and last year just became an absolute cluster. And I was like, it's not happening. I'm not even touching that book because I'm not in a funny place right now. So I didn't even touch Dirty Developments at all. And so I was like, okay, we're just gonna have to let it sit. And when like Dirty Developments came out, I wasn't planning on writing it, but I wrote it in February. I can't remember when Oriana was talking. So from Kickstarter, Oriana was talking about there was like a thing through Author Nation. I can't remember what they were calling it. It was like a cohort of some sort through Author Nation. And I went to the first one and we were talking about like what we were thinking about for our next Kickstarter launch. And they were talking about the heartstrings and hardbacks promo that Kickstarter themselves was running. So I was like, oh, well, okay, I can wait until July and launch this thing because it's for romance novels. And so it's like a curated promo list, basically. They don't, I mean, they've shared the landing page a number of times, but from my experience with this particular Kickstarter, I can't say that a huge ton of pledgers have come from that particular thing. But it was cool to be included in it. And so you fill out an application, you're like, okay, I want to be part of this. And so I already knew I was going to do a Kickstarter. I just kind of aligned to do it that way. But really it was more, I wanted to play around with some new concepts, some new merch, some new fun things that I wanted to tie to it so that when I do launch it again, like to wide, I have some cool things that I already have accessible and like I can just kind of pull up. They're going to be a little different because obviously some of the things are exclusive, especially the way that they're packaged are exclusive to the Kickstarter. But now it's like, okay, well, because I've had to figure out where to find certain things and be able to create and make certain things. Now I know how to go back there and create new things that are similar, but not the exact same. If that makes sense. And so it kind of gave me more, I don't know, more creativity in how to launch in a kind of more 3-dimensional way with like merch and different things like that. So it's been fun.
Do you have any idea? I'm starting a new series, the one I'm wondering whether I should do Kickstarter or not on, but it's a paranormal cozy mystery. Do you know if that would be viable on Kickstarter or not? Or
Anything fantasy is huge. So if you're using paranormal elements, even if it's a paranormal mystery, for sure, that's definitely right in. There's actually a bigger. It's weird because you think that romance would be the bigger, like have a bigger audience in something like that, but they don't because Kickstarter started as like not video games, board games and stuff like that. They have a big gamer community. The fantasy books, and then obviously Brandon Sanderson, when he did his huge Kickstarter, it's like there's a huge fantasy audience and there's a lot of overlap between paranormal mystery and just regular fantasy, whatever it might be. So there are a lot of people who are looking for that on Kickstarter. So absolutely would do well. There is, if you don't know, they're doing a paranormal, like the same thing as the romance one that I'm doing right now. There's a paranormal one that's going to be happening. I think it's October. They're doing it in October. I don't know if I've got I have like 60,000 tabs. I don't know if I still have it up or not.
Yeah.
ADHD for the win. Oh, hang on, I do. It's called Witch Starter, October 25. Here, let me just, I'll copy it and put it into the chat. So
Okay,
if
thank you.
anyone has paranormal books and wants to do a Kickstarter in October, this is where the next one is. It's under open call. So you just fill out the application, let them know that you're thinking about doing a Kickstarter, and they'll look at everything that you're doing. You do have to start the process of building your Kickstarter, but it doesn't have to be finished. It just needs to have like some of its basics built out so that they can kind of see what your book is about and if it fits the category. But what's nice about that is, like I said, it gets put into this larger like list, and so you'll have like a little tag on there that would say like Witch Starter, and so they would know, and so you'd be part of that promotion in what they're doing.
Okay, all right,
So,
thanks.
yeah, you bet. Any other questions? Anything else coming up? There was a lot covered today. Holy cow. I was literally, I'm like, man, there's not as many slides. I should have known better. I should have known. It'd be just fine.
I guess
Cool.
another thing. I thought I read recently, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I thought I had just read that 11 Labs was just sold to Meta and it's now closed to new people.
I have not heard that.
I thought I read
Interesting.
that recently. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. I will have, if that's the case, I will let you know. Let me look.
Okay.
I haven't heard that at all.
I could be confusing it with something else, but I thought that's what I heard.
Okay. Well, I will do some research and see what I can find there, because I have not heard that. And I'm usually kind of up on all that stuff, but you never know. Things do slip through the cracks, especially when you're doing 50,000 other things. So it's been an interesting summer. Oh goodness. So I will let you know though. And yeah, that would be weird. Although knowing the way that Zuckerberg is, I'm like, I could see it happening. But I don't know. I'll have to do some searching on that. Cool. Well, anything else, or are we good to like go and enjoy our Friday afternoon? It's actually sunny here. It's been raining and gross like all summer in Minnesota. So it'll be nice to get outside. All right, guys. Well, have a great time. Like I said, I will get the replay over to you guys. Very hot. Oh, I bet it's hot here too. I'll get the replay over to you guys. If you're in the masterclass membership, everything will also get loaded there. And I'll make sure, like, if you miss the downloadables, I will make sure that they're attached to everything as well. All right, guys. Have a
Thank you
great
so
weekend.
much.
Yeah, thank you too. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks.